In today's lesson, we're going to be learning how to use a command line. And in my opinion, using the command line is the most efficient way to get around an operating system. I would compare it to like driving a stick shift car. You know, in stick, in manual, you actually feel the mechanical aspects. You know, you can change the different speeds, you know. You actually feel like you're in charge of the vehicle. And I would say the command line is the same way. And there's two ways that a computer communicates, or users communicate with the computer. We either use GUIs, which as you can see here, Firefox is a GUI application, or a graphical user interface, right? That's what they're called, GUIs. The text editor here is a GUI. And we can use this to communicate with the computer, right? Like these programs in Windows are instructed to do specific things, right? This is obviously a web browser, right? The text editor, you know, that's in charge for text manipulation, you know, blah, 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 blah. Or whether you're playing a video game, right? The positives about GUIs is that they're user-friendly and they're point and click. So it's not as complicated. The downside, I would say, is the how, you know, it's a lot slower. I would say, like, you can do 5 things on the command line in less than 10 seconds compared to the GUI, right? Not only that, you just don't feel like you're as in charge of the operating system. Again, I'm using the stick shift reference, right? So let's go back here, right? Again, I mean, I'm using GUI, but again, I'm just browsing the internet, where here I can do the same thing. Again, the GUI, the command line is not gonna render images. Which is what separates a web browser, right? So as you can see here, you look at the images. You know, you can play video games. A browser is a very complicated thing. I'm not gonna lie, but you can do some of the basic stuff. So we're gonna connect to the internet using curl. So again, this code here normally would be processed by the web browser, and it'll pop up all these little things, right? Pictures, blah, 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 blah. But as you can see, we connected to it, right? So again, we're gonna do a series of videos explaining how you can do these individual things, because if I did all of this today, it could be a 3-hour long video. It could take a long time. So for now, we're just gonna start off with this one, right? So before we do that, I just want to explain something real quick to you guys. Every computer or operating system out there, whether it's Windows, Linux, and Mac, they all work under this like file tree thing. So every file or folder, is a directory that houses, you know, data, right? That does specific stuff. And me personally, unless you know what you're doing, I would not recommend you either delete, modify, or touch any of the program files, because you can actually cause the operating system to crash, because the operating system will call on a lot of these files that are stored in these individual things. But let's look at the Linux file system. Let's see if we can get a picture of it, because the command line navigates around the file, the file tree. So let's see this here. So as you can see, right, there's the root, there's the beginning of it, the binary files, boot. I'm assuming those are like boot files that it needs. Let's see if I can find something specific. Oh, here we go. You see essential user command binaries. So everything that you run on the anything that's executed is on the bin side, and then the configuration files, etc. And then, you know, essential system binaries, and then the user. So here's where everything, like, you know, your home folders and, you know, desktop folders, all that stuff is. And then you got the var, variable data file. So remember, don't navigate or delete any of these folders, because if you do, you're just gonna make your operating system useless and you're not gonna be able to use it. So let's go back to this thing. So for now, we're gonna learn how to navigate around the file tree, right? So right now I'm at the home folder. As you can see, there's home, and there's PC, right? That's the user. That's the username of the operating system. So I want to move to music. As you see here, right? Now I moved one up the file directory tree. So as you see here, right, we're going to use the print working directory. So that's where I want to know where I'm at now. Obviously, we can see it over here. This is a cool little reference thing. If I'm not mistaken, a lot of operating systems don't show this part. So that's why PWD was invented, so it actually shows you where you're at in the directory folder. So again, just to try to remember the command, I normally use it a lot of times. Print working directory, print working directory. All right. So we're in music, right? So now we want to see the contents within the directory, right? And ls is that instruction. So ls and then la. As you see here, you see the metadata, right? Or if you wanted to just see the contents, you can do ls like that. But I like using lsla because you get to see when the folder was created. As you can see here, the date, the file size, right? And then the user that created it, the root, and then, you know, regular user, and then the permissions it has, right? So, you know, that's why I like using lsla compared to just ls. And let's see if ls has a man page. Oh, it does. So a man page is like it's short for manual, and it shows you how to properly use a tool. Some tools don't have a man page, but this one luckily does. So what could we use again? We used LA, we used A, so it's showing everything. And then we used L, long format, which shows everything. Literal high. Alright, this is cool. So let's go back to our lesson here. So change directory, right? So this is how you navigate. I just showed you earlier, right? If you do this, you actually go back one directory down. So now we're back to PC. We're gonna go one directory down. So now we're at home. So now we're gonna go back to our music file. Music. Obviously, spell that right. What the heck? What do you mean there's no such directory? Oh, sorry about that. No wonder. Let me see. PC. Music. What the heck? Alright, there we go. Alright, as you can see, right? The CD instruction changes the directory of where you want to go within the file structure. Alright, so let's do that. And then less. I'm gonna be real, I don't know what the heck this is or what it does. View file with scroll, because I've never really used it, so I don't really care for it. So I guess since we have some files here, let's do this. Less random text. Looks like it opens up nano to see the contents of the file, which, you know, I don't know, I'll ignore that. So over here to our left, now we have the copy instruction. So I already actually did this. I copied the contents from this one and I saved it on this file here, but I'll do it for you guys again. So I'm gonna remove random text 2.txt, and then we're gonna copy the contents of random text, which I believe is just 3 hellos. Yeah. So we're gonna copy random text. We're gonna copy this and then save it to this. Again, copy is a very it's a very popular function, right? Like when it comes to GUI, again, you can do it right here, right? You can copy a folder, you can point out a file, then copy, blah 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 blah. But you're essentially doing that same thing, except you're doing it on the command line. So here, let's check it out again. Let's check out the contents of our new copy file too. Hellos, right? So copy it's a good one, right? So let's clear this out. So now you can move files and folders, right? So according to this, rename or move file. We're gonna move. So we're gonna move. Let's move the new file. Random text2.txt, and we're gonna move this one to my downloads file. Downloads. Bang. Let's see. It's no longer in the music folder. I moved it to the downloads, right? So move is also a very good instruction and a must know for any command line user. So that's cool. But I guess you can rename a file using the move command. So let's try this out. Random text.txt, and let's call it random text3.txt. Bang. You see, renamed it. So instead of just being random text, it's random text3. Alright, so let's clear this out. So now there's the make directory command. So if you want to make a new folder or a new directory, you go make dir, and for funsies, let's call this, EDM, because we're in the music folder. So we can actually go to the EDM, right here, EDM, boom, boom, clear. So making directories is a good thing as well. So in other words, like creating a folder. Again, you can do that most of the time with the right click. But on the command line, if you know how to use it, you can do stuff just on the fly. Boom, 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 you know what I mean? So now we're gonna remove random folder. So RM is used to remove stuff. Let's see if RM comes with the guide. Let's see. Nope. Try this. Oh, we did. So what I like to use is that I like to use the R flag. So the R flag removes everything. Like if you just use RM, I believe it just deletes. Like it can delete the folder, but I think the configuration files, it'll leave them there if I'm not mistaken. Or if you use R, it'll remove everything attached to that folder. So let's do this, RM, and then random folder. Boom, and then let's delete hello. And then you could actually delete text files as well. So let's, random text3.txt. There goes that, you know what I mean? And yeah, let me see something. Creating files in Linux. Touch. That was the command I was missing. So touch creates files again. Touch, and then random text txt, and then we create it again, as you can see. Yeah, like I was saying, you know, the command line it's a beautiful thing if you know how to use it. You know, you're able to navigate the operating system relatively quickly, and you're able to you know, do your thing. You know, let me see if I'm able to find a website that has more of the commands, because I didn't include that one, the touch one. Let me see. Create file navigation Linux cheat sheet. Looks like this has it right here. Basic Unix commands. Alright, so ls, we already went through that. Changes directory, went through that. The print working directory, went through that. Creating a directory, went through that. And then obviously here, touch, right, which creates a file, and we created that as well. So rm, we went through that as well, removes a directory and or files. Copies, we went through that as well. Moves, we went through that as well. I don't believe we went through cat. So let's go through that. Oh no, we did go through cat. I am mistaken. Let's go back to this though. Chmod. This changes the permissions of files. Remember how we viewed earlier that some files have certain permissions. Some are read, some are write. You know, so like this. As you can see here, right? These are the permissions. Read, writable, you know, and then shown. Let's go back to this thing. Shown changes file ownership. So that one, you know, it'll just change it from, like, if it's a root, if the root users created it, it could just change it to, you know, okay, everybody could use, you know, the non-privileged users, and then sudo, which will change a regular user. I'll give you an example here, watch. So this right here is a regular user, here, the blue. So you don't have as much permissions to use the operating system as you want. So what would be a good example? Like if I wanted to run Wireshark, because Wireshark is it's a lower level program that's gonna do something that you don't want a hacker to do, right? So it's gonna ask for my password, if I'm not mistaken. They didn't do that. What would be a good one? Nmap? Nah, that's not. 192. I can't think of an instruction right now that'll need like a root user, but this right here is just regular user, and then you go sudo if you really want to go root, and then you go like this, put in the password, right? So now you're a root user and you're allowed to use the operating system freely. Every instruction, and you know, if you want to delete a folder, you know, oh, that's probably a good example actually. You see, this one's not showing us where we're at. You see. PC. So music. So let's see. Since I created this one under the root user, I believe I won't be able to delete it. Random text 3.txt. You see, I knew it. Remove write protected regular file. Obviously I won't be able to do it if I wanted to, but you get my point, right? Tomorrow or sometime this week, I'm actually gonna go even deeper, and I might actually use this as a reference. You know, this file here is something that I created through the commands that I remember, and obviously I missed some, but I could always use this as a reference. So I'm definitely gonna save this, and they're even like in different they're even saved in different categories: navigation, file operations, file permissions, system information, networking. You know, I love this one right here, the wget. If you ever need to download like a file, like let's use GitHub as an example. Let's see, show your cool tool. Let me see, simply email GitHub. Let's see if we can do it like this. No, that's not it. Harvester GitHub. What if we could do it like this? wget paste. There we go. As you can see, we downloaded the file. Let's see what it has. The harvester. Oh, looks like we downloaded the HTML. But anyway, you can download just like folders, files, you know, you name it using wget. Alright guys, well that concludes the lessons for today. Thank you.